Hello and welcome to Little Learners. Happy New Year, it's now 2018 and to start the year off I wanted to talk a little bit about sight words. Another term you may hear kind of thrown in with sight words is high frequency words. This is a term that if you're a parent or even a teacher of children in early education, you will be all too familiar with, but also maybe a bit confused by. This is another instance where early education has its own kind of jargon that doesn't always make sense to parents who haven't trained in early education. So that's what I'm here for, to help you understand. So as you'll have seen in my previous videos, children start to learn phonics in nursery or reception. This is a way for children to sound out words, put all of those sounds together, and then say the whole word. This helps children to be able to read and later on write. But what about words that aren't phonetically plausible? Words such as the or was. These are words that come up a lot in reading. They're known as high frequency words, but they're not phonetically plausible, so children can't sound them out. That means that they just have to learn them by sight, hence sight words. Sight words also include words that are phonetically plausible, but are still high frequency, so they show up in reading a lot, and children need to know them by sight. Words such as and. Of course you can sound out and. D, and. But at the rate that the word and, for example, shows up in reading, it would take children a very long time to read if they were sounding out and every time they saw it. Many sight words or high-frequency words have little to no meaning on their own, such as the. So it can make it a bit tricky to explain to children what that word is, what does it mean and why do we need it. If children are getting a bit confused by this, it's really good to just open a book and see if you can count how many times a certain word, such as the, shows up in the story. This can show children how important that kind of word is. Most schools will give children a list of words called sight words that they want them to learn at home. Sometimes this is given out as a list, sometimes it's given out as flashcards, but most schools will give them out to encourage children to practice at home. Schools may also add some other words into the sight words that other schools haven't. For example, they might add words that are specific to their reading scheme. So if your child is reading a lot of Oxford Reading Tree books at school, if your child's school follows the Oxford Reading Tree scheme, you may also see words in the sight words such as biff and chip and kipper, because even though those aren't necessarily high frequency words as we would normally understand it, they become high frequency words when children are reading those kind of books because they show up so often, and it's important that children know what those words say. It can be difficult to know how to help your child learn these words when they aren't phonetically plausible and children just need to know them by looking at them. This can make it quite tricky, and for parents particularly, it can be really difficult to know what the best way is to teach this, rather than just putting the word in front of a child and saying, read it. There are, of course, lots of games and activities you can do to help your child with their sight words at home. First of all, if your school has given your child their sight words in a list form, I would highly recommend making them into flashcards. This can make it easier to read them because they'll be in isolation. So if you do get them as flashcards, make sure you chop them up to make sure that they are just one word on one little card. If you're making them yourself, it's probably best if you can print them and use the font Comic Sans. Even though this is a font most people don't really enjoy using, it's a font that really does mirror how we write words. So for example, the A is how we would expect children to write it and see it written in stories, especially in early reading. If you can't print it though, just make sure you write it in your best handwriting. So the first game I would recommend you try with these cards is Snap. So you can do this in the normal way you would do Snap. You both have some cards and you put them down, and when you see the same one, you yell snap and then try and read the word. Or you may want to try, first of all, laying all the cards upside down, making sure you have 2 of each word, and then turning them over and trying to match them. This is a great memory game anyway for children, remembering where each word was, and it also helps them to understand what the word looks like. It may seem strange just to get a child to match and with and, but that shows that they understand what kind of the shape of the word is and what letters are in the word. You can also try a treasure hunt, which is so much fun. Right at the beginning, I would recommend that you just use one word. So today we are going to do an and treasure hunt, and you put lots of ands on lots of cards around the house or the garden or wherever you are, and you are just looking for that word. It may seem a little bit pointless just to look for one word, but this again really helps children to identify one word and they know exactly what they're looking for. So next time they come to it, they have seen that word so many times in their treasure hunt that they start to recognise it. Of course then, as children progress, you can start putting all of the words in your treasure hunt and hiding lots of different words around the garden, the house, wherever you are, and asking the children to bring the word to you and say the word. If children are really enjoying the treasure hunt but they're finding it difficult still to read the word, then it would be good if you sit at a table with another set of the words in front of you and the child comes and matches the word that they're holding to one of the words that are on your table. Again, that's like the card matching game that I was just talking about, and getting used to what words look like and being able to identify when one word looks exactly like itself. Another way to help children really understand and recognise sight words is with their writing. Now, for most children at this level, they won't be writing yet, but there are other things you could do to help them. So for example, if they're struggling with a specific word like the, you can write the really, really big on a piece of paper and then have your child trace over it with either a pencil or even some paint. You can get some chalk and get your child to be writing the same word over and over again on the pavement outside your house, for example, or if you've got a patio in your garden, you can do it there. Just lots of different creative ways for your child to be exploring those words. And of course, once you have those flashcards that I was talking about, you can literally just play a flashcard game. And once children become more confident in these words, you can play the game to see how quickly they can read all of the words. You can set a timer and encourage the child to beat their last time that they did when you played the flashcard game. So even though sight words can seem a little bit tricky to teach at first, there are definitely things you can do to help your child and support them when they're learning these words. Of course, also when you're reading with your child at home, make sure that they're noticing sight words in their reading, and if they're starting to just sound them out because they don't really recognise them in the story, grab your flashcards and try and match it to the flashcard. It can be difficult when children are just using flashcards and then see the word written in, for example, a different font or a different size or just in a different context. So it's good to have those flashcards on hand so that you can match them to the word in the story. I hope this video has been helpful. Do let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about sight words. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps out my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're already subscribed, you can click on the bell icon to make sure you get a notification every time I post a new video, so you never miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.